G'day, it's Rusty from Rusty's Outback Adventures, and in today's video we're heading off on another prospecting trip. Mrs. Rusty's staying behind, my mate Rhys is coming with me again, and yeah, we're set ready to go. We're heading up to an area near around Paynes Find, then a couple of days there, then we're going up to an area near Leinster, back down through Leonora and back home, probably 8 or 9 days in total. And yeah, certainly looking forward to getting out in the bush again and swinging the detector. Just give you a quick look at the setup before we go. Up on the roof of the nav there's a couple of boxes, just got camping gear and recovery gear, spare wheels, recovery tracks. We may not need them, but I'm going to take them anyway. In here, same setup as before. We've got the 2 angles, we've got the solar panel and clothes and water and tent over the other side for the awning tent, and the toolbox on the other side. And here on the camper trailer we've got the quad bike on the front and the usual water jerry cans and gas bottles and pretty standard setup that we normally take. So yeah, looking forward to getting going. We'll be on the road shortly. Well, we've come up the freeway, got off at Roe Highway and came around Roe Highway because freeway in the afternoon is pretty messy, and we're just approaching the turn off to Great Northern Highway, which is the road we need to take in order to head up towards Paynes Find. It's about 3:30 at the moment, so the traffic is fairly busy. So once we get north we should be able to get rid of some of this traffic. Alright, the lights have gone green and it's our turn. I don't bloody crash into this big truck as I go around. Alright, so we're on the Great Northern Highway now and we're heading up through Dalwallinu, Woburn, and Brunswick first, Brunswick, Mouchet, and then through New Norcia, up through Dalwallinu, Woburn, and towards Paynes Find. So yeah, we've got a few more hours on the road before we camp overnight somewhere. Not quite sure yet where, but we'll probably wing it based on the time. We don't want to sort of pitch tent in the dark. So yeah, another couple of hours to go. Well, we're just coming up to the turn off into New Norcia, so we're going to duck in here and quick pit stop, and then we'll continue on. We've still got probably another couple of 100 k's to knock off if we can before we stop. Now that'll be a message I need to check out. Hang on a minute. Alright, just turned off the Great Northern Highway into New Norcia, and we're just going to pull up here for a quick pit stop. The New Norcia Museum and Art Gallery. I think this is the main monastery. And somewhere up here, Rhys has pulled up somewhere. I don't quite know where. I'll find him. I guess he can't be too far away. There he is. I found him. He's in where we stopped before. He must have known that. Alright, there he is. Alright. Well, we're just coming into Woburn. It's 20 past 6. We're probably a little bit behind where we'd like to be, so we're just going to head up the road a little bit further through to get out the other side of town and just look for somewhere to stop. So yeah, we're making reasonable progress, probably a little bit slower, but we're okay. Well, we made camp last night 45 k's north of Woburn. We just pulled into a parking bay just to get some directions and where we're going to go, and realised it was quite a big parking area that came in off the road. So yeah, this was as good a spot as any. Remnants here of an old fire involving a car. There's not much left of it here, but yeah, nice spot off the highway, a couple 100 metres. Rhys with his rooftop tent. I just used the awning tent overnight, and yeah, time for breakfast. Bit of highway noise you can probably hear in the background. The sign when we came in said track to rocky outcrop, so there's actually, if I pan around you probably can't see, up through the bush up here. I had a quick walk this morning. We'll go up there and take the camera. There's a big rocky outcrop, so we'll have a quick look up there after breakfast. We just that little track through where we were camped overnight, and I'll just pan around here, and this rocky outcrop here gets bigger as we walk this way. couple of you built and put a rock on. Well, I'll put mine on too. Contribute to the pile. Rhys has got one.
A conscientious objector.
Yeah. Sticks up the top there. There you go. And there's a quick pan around how it looks. And we're camped just somewhere down there. Alright, I think it's time to hit the road again and continue north. Well, we turned off the highway and we came down this track that we knew would take us into some ground we're going to look at. And we've been going a couple of kilometres and there's a big wet patch up here. So I don't like our chances of getting through this, so we're going to have a quick bit of a walk and have a look, but I'm not sure that we're going to be able to. They've had a bit of rain up here in the last few weeks, or last month actually, so I got a feeling that that's going to thwart our efforts along this particular track. There's not many other tracks in here, so it is a bit low lying the ground, so yeah, we'll have to have a bit of a look at this. Well, this is what we've come across, this wet soggy track in the clay. I reckon it's going to be way too much to go through, so we've had a look around the side, and even in there it's a bit low and a bit soft, so we might err on the side of caution here, and we might got a couple of other locations that we've got up our sleeve, so I think we might have to abandon this area for now, but yeah, well worth a look coming down here. Coming up this track, we've come across the emu-proof fence, so we're going to just drive along it. We were sort of going to come this way for a look anyway, but that's it. And there's a feral animal control area there with sign says no entry without an appointment, and the high-powered rifles and baits and things going on and traps, so best to keep out of that spot. Well, once again we were thwarted by water on the track, and we weren't prepared to try and drive through it because it was pretty yuck and we knew we'd get bogged. So anyway, it's a nice day for a drive. We're going to drive back down along this emu-proof fence and carry on our journey. Well, we're on the Paynes Find to Sandstone road now. It's 220 k's of dirt into Sandstone, and we're going to check out some ground along the way. So hopefully we can find somewhere where we can swing a detector on. I made a miscalculation in my fuel requirement as well as where I could fill up with fuel. So when we left Paynes Find, I had done 550 k's since we left home with a full tank of fuel, and I mistakenly believed we could get fuel at Sandstone. Now, it appears that I can't get fuel at Sandstone, and the next place after Sandstone is Leinster. So we had about 450 k's to go from Paynes Find to Leinster. Now Leinster's further than we were going to go. We were going to go to a place near Agnew. Now Agnew has no fuel or anything there. So yeah, even though the Navara's got a long-range fuel tank in it with 145 litres, I didn't bring any extra fuel, believing that I could get fuel at Sandstone. Now, bit of a trap for young players. Do your research, double check where your fuel supplies are, and or carry extra fuel. So, bit of a rookie mistake by Rusty. You'd think that we've been out on the road often enough now and long enough now to have worked all that stuff out. So yeah, it can be something that you need to factor into your travels, factor into your planning. Don't take it for granted that, oh yeah, it's a town, I'll get fuel. So we're now turned off the Sandstone, or Paynes Find Sandstone Road, but it's 90 to Sandstone plus another 100 and whatever it was into Leinster. So what we've done is we've turned off and we're taking the you and me to Mount Magnet Road. Now it's 125 k's to Mount Magnet. I know I can get fuel there. I know I can get there with the amount of fuel I've got in my tank. Now, as I said before, we've got a 145 litre long range fuel tank in this. towing the camper trailer, I average around about 14.5 litres per 100 Ks. Now that assumes ideal conditions and not windy and all the rest of it. Now that should give me a range of 1,000 Ks. And I've done 700 now, well 703 on here, plus the 20 Ks I'd done between filling up and leaving home. So I've already got 720 on the clock. We'd be looking at 950, 960 Ks in total to get to Leinster. And for me, I'm just pushing it. I know we're going a bit out of our way, but from a security perspective, I know I can buy fuel in Mount Magnet. So yeah, so just a bit of a something to think about when you are planning your trips, where you're going to go. Make sure you know ahead of time. Even you ring up the local post office or ring up, you know, the general store or whatever it is into a town where you think you're going to be able to buy fuel, and just double check. Because one thing on Fuel Watch I've noticed, some of these country towns don't even get a mention. So just because they don't get a mention, it doesn't mean they don't have fuel, or they do have fuel, they just don't have their names listed. So the major towns, yeah, get the Kalgoorlies and the Kews and the Paynes Find and you know, Mount Magnet, those sort of places, yes. But if you're going, you know, especially if you're traveling a couple hundred Ks on the gravel, you're not going to come across a fuel servo or a roadhouse or something. So yeah, just something to be mindful of. A mistake I've made today, and it's only going to cost us a bit of time and a few Ks. It does sort of, you know, make you realise that as much planning as I did with all the locations we were going to, I did neglect to double check my fuel, my refueling options. And I have room on the camper trailer for 2 jerry cans of diesel, and that would have got us into Leonora, which is ultimately where we're going after Agnew. So yeah, just reiterate that one more time. Don't forget to do your forward planning for fuel as well as everything else. So yeah, just something to consider when you're coming out bush, because it's an unforgiving location. There's nothing out here, as you can see. There's nothing out here. You do need to be fully self-sufficient. Now we've got water and all sorts of things. I've got fuel for the quad bike, but that doesn't help me if I don't have fuel for the car to get where I need to go. So yeah, just an update and something to consider, and we'll be fine. It just means we've had to divert away from where we were going, and it's a little bit more travel, but I needed to be safe. I'd rather be safe. The other option we did have is we're 120 Ks out of Paynes Find, was to drive the 120 Ks back to Paynes Find and then turn around and come there. So sort of two choices. We opted to come this way because we decided we'd try and make it into Leinster, but we've played the conservative card and we're now heading into Mount Magnet. So yeah, all right, just an update there that I know it doesn't add a lot of value to this particular prospecting trip in terms of, you know, what we're doing, but I hope it adds value in so much as it's just a reminder to plan for everything. All right, there we go. We'll carry on. When driving these country gravel roads, you always need to remember to drive to the conditions. These roads aren't graded all the time, so they can get a bit rough and a bit corrugated. And one thing to also remember, there's cattle grids all the way along these roads, and when you approach a cattle grid, it's not like the ones on the highway. Sometimes there can be a bit of a lip between the actual road and the center part of the cattle grid, so you need to be doing a relatively slow speed when you hit those things, because they're going to make the car bounce and jump and could do all sorts of damage. So yeah, and the purpose of the cattle grid is actually to stop the cattle walking over it. They won't walk over it because it's like an open mesh, and then there's usually a fence line going into the paddock both sides, so basically it keeps them within a certain area. And yeah, this road's a little bit rough, and we're only doing, you know, 70 k an hour at the moment. We're in no big hurry, but we're just driving to the conditions, as I said. So yeah, just another thing to remember, if you're don't be in too much of a hurry when you come out this way. You know, we're out here for 8 or 9 days, and we're just enjoying the fact we can get away and just take things in our stride. And if you have to go a bit slower because the road's a bit rough, so be it. It's no big deal. You're better to arrive, you know, a little bit later to get to your destination than damaging your car or your trail or whatever it is you're towing. So yeah, and just enjoy the scenery. Now we're just approaching this cattle grid. I've just got out of the car, I want to show you. So this one's not too bad actually. The approach and these railway sleepers they seem to use for them is pretty level, but yeah, that's a cattle grid for those who are not familiar with them. And as I said, there's a fence line. This is obviously a pretty old one. Fence line runs down through the paddock that side, and as I said, this one's, you find a lot of old ones. A lot of these stations aren't sort of working anymore, but that's you get the idea. And a fence line through there, and there's usually a track or something down the fence line. So years gone by, boundary fence runners would have driven up and down there to ensure that they're in good order and the fences aren't broken, the stock can't get out. All right, so that's the cattle grid, and that's some of those can be a bit lumpy, so thought I'd just show that to you. Well, we're still on the You and Me Sandstone Road, but we're nearly at the intersection with the Mount Magnet Sandstone Road, so we just got a bit of bitumen again, and just up here the intersection, as I said, we'll turn left into Mount Magnet. And I've done, since we turned off on this road, I've done 75 Ks, so fuel gauges showing between 1/2 and 1/4, but when we put the long range tank in, the gauge is a little bit inaccurate. Once it starts to getting down towards 1/4, it's getting pretty low. So be interesting to see how much fuel we take on board when we fill up in Mount Magnet, and I'll show you that once we get there. And here's the intersection here, and just find out what the distance is to Mount Magnet when we just pull up at the corner. Right, 47 Ks to Mount Magnet, 102 to Sandstone. So, all right, we're going this way. I guess Rhys is somewhere in front of me. I'll find him at the roadhouse. If you see these markers on the side of the road or away in the paddock and wonder what the heck they are, it's actually an aerial marker for a gas pipeline. And these are numbered from the origin to where they end up. And on the side here, you'll find a sign that'll say gas pipeline nearby. And this is a Midwest Pipelines pipeline, and it just shows you, to keep away and stuff. And what it does is these aerial markers are used for when they fly the pipeline route. They're looking for vegetation encroachment along the pipeline. So there's an easement, the pipeline's buried underground here, and there's an easement, as you can sort of see here, the main road's there, and there's a bit of an easement through here. So they need to make sure there's no excess vegetation growing here, there's no damage, and that's what these are. So when they fly them, they fly along the pipeline, they can follow the markers, and the next, bike going across the road there. Yeah, they can fly in number format. When they fly the pipeline, they can, from this 310, they can actually see the next one. So they've sort of got a visual line of sight. The same with these markers here. Along the ground, you might see the pipeline vicinity pipe. Just thought I'd show you that. In a past life, I used to write training procedures and training manuals for gas pipelines. So yeah, so brings back a few memories. And I thought I'd show you that's what that was. All right, we're just coming into Mount Magnet, and we'll meet the Great Northern Highway. I think it's the Great Northern Highway. Correct me if I'm wrong, fellas. I think it is. Yeah, so we're coming in sort of the side of town rather than the main drag, and the roadhouse is up on the right. Oh, been told to slow down. 53, got us. Oh, still too fast. All right, I better slow down a bit. We'll hit the main drag up here, and the roadhouse is 1K up on the right to the right, it's actually on the left, but I hope that makes sense. I think it's probably time for a coffee and a bit of morning tea. It's about 10 past 11 and done, what, we're 840 odd Ks, 845 Ks since I left home. Fuel gauge is just above quarter. I mean, you could argue, yeah, Great Northern Highway. You could argue that I could have made it to Leinster, but all right. I guess that's a discussion for another day. Oh, busy time of the morning in here in Mount Magnet. All right, so we'll just turn right here. Told Rhys I'd meet him up at the roadhouse, so I'm guessing he's up there somewhere. Can't be too far away. I think you can get lost in a town this size. So, pub there. The place is closed. A few shops that are open. Hardware store. Local community art centre. Trading post. I'm sure there's a cafe somewhere. Playground for the kids. So yeah, Shire Mount Magnet Hall there. Caravan park, stayed in there before. It's the Mount Magnet Caravan Park, not a bad little spot. Bit noisy first thing in the morning with trucks going past, but hey, you get that. Oh yeah, there's Rhys, I can see him up here parked on the edge. Alright, so we'll go in and get some fuel and I'll let you know how we got on. And how's our diesel looking? The diesel at Paynes Find was 176, diesel here is 171. Doesn't matter what it is, we need it, so alright, I'll let you know how we go fuel wise. Alright, we just filled up, took 112.5 litres, and as I said, tank's 145, so we had a little bit left. I'll work out the fuel usage and see what our fuel economy was. Alright, so we fueled up, it took 112.5 litres, did the calculations, we averaged 13.9 litres per 100 Ks, so based on that, I had a range of 1,060 kilometres, which would have got me to Leinster, but I just didn't want to risk it, and I guess in hindsight we learned a lesson from that. So yeah, we're now leaving Mount Magnet, heading out towards Sandstone, then across to Agnew, which is our destination for the next few days. Well, in that general area. Well, we're just coming up to the sign that says Sandstone 5, and bugger me, there's a fuel Bowser symbol there. Only if that means there's fuel. That'd be irony, wouldn't it? We didn't think there was any here. Oh well, we're about to find out in 5K's time. There's a fuel sign there, I guess it's either, must be down that, oh no, straight ahead, 250 metres. Alright, this is the main street of Sandstone. What have we got here? Heritage Museum and Visitor Centre. Caravan park out to the right. National Hotel. And I don't know where Rhys is going. Oh, we're going down this side street. Look at it. Now, where are we going? Ah, fuel depot here. So there you go. Huh. Anyway, that's what you get. As I said before, do your research before you come out on these trips and you won't get caught short. I'll just have a quick look here what we got. Unleaded, and we got diesel, 180.9 for diesel, 196.9 for unleaded. I'll just get out of the way and we'll just pull up here somewhere. Right, probably illegally parked here on the corner, but oh well, we'll be fine. Just on the edge of Sandstone, there's a heritage trail and there's a lookout called London Bridge. So we're just going to head down here and have a quick look. It's a rock formation with a big window in it. Not quite sure what the connection with London is, but I guess we'll find out shortly. On the way out to London Bridge, this rock formation here is called the Brewery. And I'll show you the sign in a minute. You can see what went on up here. Alright, so let's have a look in here. It's probably going to get pretty dark pretty quick in here, but alright, big natural cut, natural hole in the rock here, and this was the cool room where he made his beer. There you go. Right, and this is London Bridge. Another feature on this heritage trail is the old state battery, and what that was miners would bring their ore to be crushed so they could extract the gold out of it, and it's closed now. It's all fenced off, but I'll just go up and see if we can actually, how close we can get, what we can actually see. From what I understand, there's a series of arms that have hammers or something on them, and it rotates and it bangs up and down and it crushes the ore in that hopper, and then what comes out the bottom is then processed. So yeah, the old timers would dig it out the ground, bring it here and get it processed. Well, it's getting dark on, what are we, day 3 now, and we decided we're not going to make where we're trying to get to, so we've pulled up on the side of the road, on the old Agnew road towards Leonora, and there's a creek here, so we've got off the road enough, we're out of the way, and we're just going to make camp here for the night. So yeah, looking pretty nice. There's no water in the creek unfortunately, but it's a nice little spot. After leaving our overnight camp, we're heading down the old Agnew road, heading towards Leonora, and there's a historical site here called Doyle's Well. Thought we'd just pull in and have a quick look. In its heyday, it was a changeover station for Cobb & Co. for their horse teams, and also there was a bar and house here and a tavern, and people could come out here and stay, and they've got these big baths, and people would come out here and cool down. I'll just show you what they look like. There's this big concrete bath. It's quite, I'd say it'd be 6 foot deep this end and probably 10 the other. And just a sign over here. See what that says. You can read that. So there's a bit of history here about how Doyle's Well came to be and how the hotel was here. Sorry about the shadow from the tree. And over here it talks about this being a Cobb & Co station. Again, apologies for the shadow on the tree. If you notice up here in the corner, it's part of this Agnew loop. So it's like a heritage trail, or the Leonora Loop Trail is part of local government and regional development, and it has a, you can follow the map around and visit all these sites of significance, and yeah, it's good to see the old places. There's not much left of it here though. And this is what's left of the original homestead. It's not much now, just the remnants of the mud clay walls by the look of it. Just a point to remember, if you do come here, there's lots of double G plants. There's lots of double Gs get stuck in your thong, so be careful out here. Alright, that's Doyle's Well. Well, this is our camp since last night, and we're here on some pending ground north of Leonora, and I'll just give you a pan around, show you what the camp looks like. Pretty typical of what we carry. Camper trailer you've seen before. Rhys is set up now. He's got a rooftop tent on his D-Max with his trailer and his quad. We were going out in the quads this morning. Quick look at the ground. This is the ground we're on at the moment, and yeah, it's quite good looking country. At the moment, all it's revealed for us has been some bullets and a bit of wire and an old horseshoe. But yeah, we're getting there. So we're going to take the quad bikes out this morning and just go a bit south of where we are. Still on this pending lease, but we'll go and check out the ground. So come for a quick ride with us. Well, we've just come at this new piece of ground. We've ridden the quad bikes out, and I've just got off the bike, set my detector up, and as you can see, the quad bikes are just there in the trees, and I've come across this. Hope you can hear this. Now, according to me, it's probably about there somewhere where my foot is. But they always say you come in from another angle and see if you can locate it in a similar spot. So let me just try this again. And I'm not picking it up with the tip of the coil. It's probably about 3 or 4 inches in from the tip. So I'm thinking it's here. So let me just place this down here and I'm going to dig it up. All right, well, I've scraped the surface down just, the top bloody ½ an inch off it. And I've ended up with a little pile. So the next thing is to run the coil over the bit you just scraped. So I'll just do that, and as you can hear, there's nothing there. So it's back here in the pile. There it is. So somewhere in this pile, something in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, split the pile in half, and then try again. Right, still in that pile. It's not there. All right, so let me just get my little scoop. I'll leave this running. Hang on, I'll just put it on the tripod. Use a plastic scoop, don't use a metal one, because the coil will upset it. All right, so nothing there, let's get rid of that bit. There. Oh, there you go, you hear that? So it's in my scoop. Let me have a quick look in here. A couple of rocks, I'll just try the rocks. Not that one. Not that one. No. No, hang on, what's that? There it is. Now that it's like a 22 bullet, all crunched up. So, oh well. No, not gold this time, but we'll keep looking. Well, I know you'd rather see me digging up gold rather than bits of junk, and certainly so would I, but I've had this really strong target. As you can see, I've dug this fairly big hole here, and have a look at this. It's an old tin from ages ago or something. Yeah, and that was making my detector scream, and I couldn't quite pinpoint it, but anyway, that's what it was. So another piece of junk to add to the collection, and we'll fill the hole in and we'll keep going. Just a point on that, whenever you dig a hole, no matter what comes out of it, please make sure you're filling your holes. Yeah, it's a lot safer for everybody. All right, we'll carry on. And on our way home now through Leonora, we ducked out the Laverton Road to go to Malcolm Dam and have a look. We've heard there's a bit of water in it, so we thought we'd come and have a bit of a look at it. Yeah, we're only about probably 10 or 15 k's out of Leonora on the Laverton Road, and it's 3.5 k's out here to the dams. Well, this is Malcolm Dam, but there ain't no water in that dam. Well, this is really sad. We've had a lot of rain up here the last few months. I thought there would have been something in here, but no, this whole area is pretty dry. Well, we've turned off the Laverton Leonora Road onto the Malcolm Kukini Road, and this will take us down to Kukini, and then we'll go back out to the highway that way, the Goldfields Highway. Now here on the right is the Malcolm railhead siding. So the trains come up from Cowell all the way up to here, and they unload everything here. So I'll just wave it out here and show you. It's pretty warm out here at the moment. I think one of the reasons why we're actually going to head home a day or two earlier, it is quite hot. It's 38 at the moment. We probably are a month late coming up here. Certainly a few weeks late at least. Yeah, work commitment sort of got in the way a bit actually, coming up earlier. So it is hot. I'm starting to feel a little bit drained from the heat. So we've decided to call it early, and we're gonna head home. So this is our trip home now. We're gonna stop in at Kukini. Actually, we're gonna make a detour through Melita Station, our old stomping ground from a while ago. So have a quick look through Melita, down to Kukini, say hi to Marg and Kevin at the pub. Hopefully Willie the horse is still there, and then we'll be on our way home. We're just coming into the edge of Kukini now, and not far up here is the turn off into the pub. Oh, look, it might have been that one. Oh, I think it might have been that one. Rusty might have fucking missed it. Yep, Rusty missed the turn. Oh, well, we're going around the long way. Oh, I've come around the wrong way. It's the wrong arrow. Oh, well, we'll just have to go and do a trip around the block. Rhys has fucking got it sussed. You think you haven't been here before the way you're driving, Rusty? Come on. Right, we'll go around the roundabout. Then we'll go down the pub. Last time we were here, we met the guy who bought that block just there. Now he's building his shed. He's making good progress. Alright, let's go around here. And we'll go around here. And we'll come into the pub from the other way. Oh, Rhys has beat me to it. Oh, Willie's not here. Oh, I hope Willie's alright. Willie's the horse. I hope he's still with us. Well, we'll soon find out. The sign says keep left. Well, it was nice to catch up with Marg and Kevin in the Grand Hotel at Kukini. Happy to report that Willie's doing okay. He's back at the house. He didn't come down to the pub today. Like, he normally stands out the front and pad him every time you come and go. Bit of a storm coming through. Broadcast on the radio that there's a storm front coming, so we got a couple of hours to drive. We get to camp, which is on the way home, probably somewhere down near Bullfinch. We've got a spot we've camped at before, so we're probably going to pull in there. I've just had a bit of rain on the windscreen. You can see I hope you can see this. It's yeah, rain clouds are in front of us. It's raining ahead of us. It's quite windy. So yeah, got a little bit of weather on the way home. But we'll be going south soon, so hopefully we'll sort of get around this once we hit the Goldfields Highway. We'll head south towards Menzies and towards Kalgoorlie way. I thought it was making a bit of a noise, and we pulled up on the side of the road, and there's my tyre. Now, Rhys thought of putting a patch on it, but I think it's probably a bit too far past that, so yep, we'll get that one off. Well, they say to stop at this crossing for the haul trucks. Well, we've never had to stop before, but for a truck I should say. But yeah, there you go. So it's an entry to a mine site there. And yeah, we're not far from our overnight camp, just up the road. Well, unfortunately our gold finds were zero, but I just wanted to show you some of the things we did find along the way. This is an old tobacco, oop, the bottom's fallen out. This is an old tobacco tin. It's got Bell and Black London written on it. This is another tobacco tin. It's got Champion. I think it might be the Champion Ruby. I know used to be a flavour of tobacco. This is a lid, a tin lid. It's got WD and HO Wills Australia on it. A couple of horseshoe pieces. That was a horseshoe nail. This was an interesting little piece that I thought was, for all money, a nugget. This little piece, it was down about 2 inches. Unfortunately that was a piece of nail. An assortment of bits of tin, and of course old timers out there in the bush having a camp, their tin breaks up over time. This is an old winder off a meat tin or something. You find them. Also found an assortment of bullets, 44 caliber I think that one is, a little 22 there, this complete projectile, some bits of bullet that have been broken up. These are interesting. This is a little bit of alfoil. I'm not quite sure what that was off, but maybe an old cigarette packet or something. These appear to be rivets out of jeans. Yeah, they went off, made the detector scream a bit. The other thing I found too was this. This is an insulator from a telegraph pole, and this was the wooden threaded end that screws up into it. So yeah, it goes up in there. Yeah, so that's some of the finds that we had for the trip. Unfortunately, as I said, no gold. With the heat the way it was getting pretty hot. It was 36, 37 degrees, and I started to suffer a bit with the heat, so called it to come home early. Unfortunately, we missed out on doing a couple of things. We had some recipes we wanted to show you. I was going to do a bit of explanation on my metal detector. We can do that another time. But yeah, it's just this time of year it gets pretty warm, and we just need to be mindful that our safety does come first. So thanks again to Rhys. I know we cut the trip a bit short, but we'll go again in the sort of probably March, April, when it cools down a little bit. We'll head off again up the Goldfields. So if you like the video, a thumbs up would be appreciated. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, the subscribe button's down here somewhere. And if you haven't seen the other prospecting trip we did earlier, I'll put the link up here, and if you want to check that video out, please do so. Alrighty, if you'd like to support the channel, there's a link in the description below. You can buy me a coffee. I do appreciate any help I get from you people. As I said before, we enjoy doing these videos, but they do take a little bit of time and money to put together. Alright, so thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.